Now, you put numbers new together. Sena Ghana funa ye betini me be a say in terms of Ghana young finances. Me pes misro. Nene first time I work of Ghana website, finance ministry website, any other sites based on one-on-one references, any Dr. Forson speech or mine no. And my yen hunia may be muye, yen tinia may be a say. Inti, I took it upon myself, say, may extrapolate numbers, bank gloss over numbers. Now, we are so forward looking in terms of one bait and switch tactics. Nyabutere nefeti na mebekeng because a war life, a midlife. Ghana, young strength financially, economically, namba beka ho asemi. Enche, inti nyabre kakre bi nefeti namba bekeng.
Now, MPP is exposing a lot of things. Now, Kofi Koranteng, I joined the whole train. That this is training social media for more than a video phone, WhatsApp. There we are. Check out your comment section and switch to the news. Now, after Forson, I don't demand my 100 show after watching this video to the end, especially because this video has been reviewed by Obia. Or you're very, very good at economics. At the same time, now your business wants some or some APP. Now, but for a long period of time, a lot of people have tried to say a lot of things about the Penfubi within the MPP. But the urban NDC form Penfubia, people don't want to talk about them. Oh no, and a Kofi Koranteng said, say, yeah, but the democracy, oh no, but a money be by a man, I know a discussamo. Because the Casamna said, Yan Shishani to Tunia or Miss Mobati. No woman will be the more. My worrying name would a BBI a comma. A wouldn't mistake could be a BBI de pum. Nadama Pumno. Do abasha madama pumde babanete ono so kasa oyebi ono so kasa ono so wete nine according to Kofi Koranteng no say there ebufu some wo de wo man munti won kana kwara nja amanfo no o say baria ato Forson abakaka kansemi just not too long ago but I was wa hwedian into say wo cabinet meeting want dem na o kaka o say baria calculations na we na dem a group of but wa see wonobo wa hwen won see no no peda was called nimpo so no put na peda as a kwa kana kwa na faja wa manfo no o say esese na hu the way a worry sikasem Ghana me hu hwe o say it's just a matter of time obeye pum na mozin kana again no so onye pumpe anhwa na manfo no won dabre woni dibre da manfo no won bibia wo bezi pokwaje maybe a wankae da made bibia no oteno o say boy a second to trinity ato Forson there be but step by step, in fact, it was very, very, very interesting there. We had Kofi Koranteng to have spoken the way you see say. But the point is, in common with the Ningina one hole. But once I share video for WhatsApp, we are Chawado Commerce, and Cousin Commander Banavia, in Train Common.
Hello, Abusian for Ghana for Enuanum Niadofo, or from Kofi Koranteng. Michiemu na baby awubia me mama che mama jo mama ha yedi nchia kese ne de brew ne mahaba ha ne say last week na yenua penning Dr. Forson pay media review budget review my na mpeng p no wo budget review now send a work gloss over numbers. Now we are so forward looking in terms of one bait and switch tactics. No. And my yen hunia may be muye, yen tinia may be a say. Inti, I took it upon myself, say, may extrapolate numbers, Bank of Ghana website, finance ministry website, any other sites based on one-on-one references, any Dr. Forson speech or mine. Now, you put numbers new together. Sena Ghana funa ye betini me be a say in terms of Ghana young finances. Me pes misro. Nene first time I work me nyabutere nefeti na mebekeng because a war life, a midlife. Ghana young strength financially, economically, namba beka ho asemi. Enche inti nyabre kakre bi nefeti namba bekeng. Na yen fan compare one forward looking statement I will make here about Ghana ne baby a year financially Dr. Forson can say ne financial prudence nominee adena ama yedu baby yedu yehwemu no kware nti pay close attention. Says here yen moka say yebeka about Ghana revenue and grants. Revenue and grants not just say sika ye expect what Ghana na Dr. Forson based on ejuma on a mampening and na bang na yen sika ye ba benya wo Ghana ye de ba bi di juma for 2026 no enuni a 268.1 billion cedis. 268.1 billion cedis. Now says sika no income streams no efi non-oil tax revenue 1, non-tax revenue 2. Non-oil tax revenue no yebenya 216 billion cedis efi ho. Non-tax revenue and so yebenya 20.9 billion. Oil and gas receipts no yebenya 13.6 billion. Other revenue yebenya 14.4 billion. Grants yebenya 3.1 billion. Nina ane besi 268.1 billion. Any sika Ghana na yebenya near the baby di juma yepese yedi for 2026. Inti mpese mu take sa number no mode 12 to baby 268.1 billion cedis. Yeah, next slide. Yo, from the previous slide, yang total revenue any grants yeah 268.1 billion. 268.1 billion. The yang kaisa amount no. This is about yang expenditure. Yang expenditure for Ghana CC ne yeden. 2026 expenditure breakdown and then what do you see? First, interest payments. Before ye sika bia ye benya ye de be ye bibi krano. As I say, ye take care of young interest payments. Between interest payments, any wages and salaries and kwano, almost 120 billion cedis. Between Sanya being wages and salaries for public service workers, any interest payment on the end debts, inti yang 268.1 billion na ye from revenue no. Ansa kra ne be ka ho bribi ye de be ye bribia wo Ghana no. As I say ye tua two huge items. First one ye interest payments. Interest payments what are ye 57.7 billion Ghana cedis. Number one. Number two, wages and salaries here between 65 and 70 billion Ghana cedis. Number three, capex, capital expenditure, a 57.5 billion. Earmarked funds, you will debate here to say Ghana Education Trust Fund, nominate National Health Insurance, ne District Assemblies Common Fund, ne adeno, and also 63.6 billion cedis. Now for goods and services, and then yake home biano, 40 billion cedis. Now for energy sector payments are what be ESLA, payments to IPPs nominate Sanya Maniama Corona Benny Nano, and also 19.7 billion Ghana cedis. So now for last one foreign financed capital exchange, foreign and capital expenditure, foreign financed, and no 12 billion Ghana cedis. Inti woka yen expenditure na boom for Ghana. Based on numbers Dr. Forson presented at what present was Ministry of Finance no. Woka sa numbers na boom. It's really supposed to be 315.5 billion Ghana cedis. And so somehow no, Dr. Forson say 302 billion Ghana cedis. Now the difference no, yen kan ho asem, yen ko bisa Dr. Forson, but na Ghana for me pese me kan share mo ne say ye de nkonta na yebu na nyame me nkonta nkonta provided by Ministry of Finance. So what I say, into yen expenditure one can share in Parliament. What can say and ye can now boom 315 billion. But what say Dr. Forson say yen fan say 302 billion. In parentheses, yeah, the 302.5 billion yeah, they are share so because I know that Dr. Forson can say ye be used for yen total expenditure breakdown. Okay, good. Now see if 302.5 billion no krempa enye nkonta na wonga kase ye be spend now. There is still a deficit. We 200 yen munkai say yen income revenue plus grants ni na ye 268.1 billion. So we 268 billion yen revenues no. Now we yen total expenditure mo 302 billion as per Dr. Forson. Even though there is a conflict with numbers or the numbers or the and in the number kind there is a difference. But you funny say for no number no kind near disregard itemization now I am in net finances now as per expenditure now. Yet we still a deficit. We 268.1 no, if 302.5 more. What deficit of 34.4 billion? 34.4 billion. It is 34.4 billion no. Says he can ye kofefi Ghana for. Not just say says he can ye be financed by borrowing and ye grants. Borrowing and grants near the Babe finance deficit no 34.4 billion no Ghana for muntie ni you now na etwa mensumu a mentiase hopefully bia mumu bi betiase na ma send a message on sa video yi ne say total appropriation government hire for 2026 appropriation naturally say sika won atwa to ho say will be used for bibia opeso ye big push ne niama opeso ye ni na no 357.1 billion 357.1 billion which is almost 55 billion more than budget. Our friend then one total expenditure now what they are buying as per Ministry of Finance. And you know, these are just the numbers. And you remember numbers, and numbers by them. What kind of expenses need now, Buma? Even without any changes, 315 billion. But the infant say, yen to 315 billion, non to baby, because even though one numbers now, yen extrapolate in the numbers, no. Dr. Forson said there be ne numbers, say, when book me 302.5 billion cedis of expenses. Okay, fine. Let's use 302.5 billion. We use no. There is still a deficit of 34.4 billion Ghana cedis. And no. How is he going to finance it? Well, through loans and grants. Now, the shocker, let's say, Ghana for. Say, Ghana, yewo hey. Oshe hume iswa. The current debt stock of Ghana now, yes, 720.8 billion Ghana cedis. 720.8 billion Ghana cedis. Inti if there is a deficit of another 34.4 billion, yen to me, yen interest payments, yen to me meet yen interest payments, near start here pay yen principal. Yes, I kofa 34.4 billion abekaho. And only on the low side, with total appropriations are yet babeka yen debt one. Total appropriations for Ghana government for 2026 near 357.1 billion. Wokonya says he can wait. Ghana for international said we're going to go to borrow more. Meanwhile, yeah, at 720.8 billion. When are we going to start borrowing? Because we are making promises, nominate plans. Yeah, big push. At the 24-hour nominate. We don't have the money for it. We don't have the money for it. It's a big problem. Dr. Forson. And the President Mahama said, one man, one maker, President Mahama no can say, won't be BSA. Ask. Inti President Mahama, me, Kofi Koranteng, and the Ghana Funya say, Yebisa say, 720.8 billion of an outstanding total debt stock. I will say, what's the plan to pay that off? Because you can't suddenly develop a nation on a deficit. And I say, what's your young expenses? Now her young revenue, yes, I'm another 34.4 billion. Yet about 720.8 billion. No. Internet is saying total debt at the end of 2026 now, Baba 755.2 billion. Guys, how are we gonna? What are we doing? Inti, yet connects. I was your phone at the sad reality is say, young media people, yeah, you won't say one finance for the government in Penyufushi and one to discuss finances about Ghana. Won't miss one pressing questions. So, questions, now mobetia taxes on wines, no money at the question to be sir. What is that? I mean, how do you find out the strength? The economic strength of a country will be say wine, you bet your taxes are now. Some questions be listen, Dr. Forson always brands Nekasa to suit one agenda. Inti when me say one pressing questions are we will need answers to her. What amount answer what we that? Next slide. Yeri can say why our government is not telling us the truth. Why our government is not telling us the truth. And you know, a great indicator of an economy and how government is spending, no? Yes, sir, will be total revenue and grants. Total revenue and grants over we're finding GDP, nominal GDP. Well, we took a look, say, yen total revenue in the grants, no, over yen GDP, nominal GDP, no, dengana, ni who say, 16.9%. Now, yen revenue, no, in the grants, no, you say, 268.1 billion. We are established here, no, the Dow, total revenue. Into total revenue and the grants, 268.1 billion, no. Over yen nominal GDP, yen nominal GDP per finance ministry, at Forson, 1.59 trillion cedis. Now, 268.1 billion cedis, no, over 1.59 trillion, no, nominal GDP, no. Wunya 16.9%, based on yen 2026 expectations. Now, Nenti America said, Busankunte, Yachemo, me pese. Memo context. Now he say eno no eka deng eno ne ka government no strength per all the activities are equal amount to GDP no. Government ne chefa ewom a obetumi atwe fi GDP num no de be build among no. And a strong indicator of the strength of every country. Inti me mamo reference points na mo de yehwade. Wohwe obi to say Nigeria one debt to GDP. Let me say debt to GDP. One revenue and grants to one GDP no, yeah, about 10 to 12, which means say asem ofie Nigeria for wasem ka. So Ivory Coast is slightly better than yen 18%. So Kenya much better. Kenya will bear 21% revenue over GDP index, Inti memam reference point. Inti wohwe countries to say OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Countries say Bruchisa, America, France, one average year 34%, 34 to 40%. Sa index year. Wohwe GCC, Gulf and Cooperation countries, one same in a one numbers na about 30 to 40%. Wohwe Sub-Saharan Africa average near about 18%. Ghana is 16.9% revenue over GDP, which signals to say the economy is not healthy, which signals to say government is having a problem getting money from all the GDP ECOSO, total amount of activities ECOSO will Ghana generate economic combustion now. Yehu a what kind of casino government chefa wo mu pe year 16.9%. It that means to say government would have to rely on grants and loans to finance the capex, big push niyama opesoyen because o nisika ni system num. So Ghana between now and 2028 ato Forson into mean change bribia. Me Kofi Koranteng America Dr. Forson, President Mahama, the whole government to say they are not positioned to change anything economically in Ghana, and I'm proving it to them with these numbers. What power one frame in one year press conference, no one prove me numbers here wrong, say me boy. 2025, Ghana, young debt to the BMC debt to GDP. Debt to GDP, they are about 45% now, but it's nothing to start celebrating about. What I say, because we have a lot of problems ahead of us. But Ghana 2025, young revenue, total revenue to GDP was 16.4%. 16.4%. In comparison, say countries in the West do very well with sa index. Now third world countries so you struggle with grants and loans into 10 near 15, 20 ho. But not they say we Dr. Forson and Ankasakasi we can go past 16.9%. So now the total revenue plus grants, just so you want to know, it's really not going to change much between now and 2028. No matter how glossy Dr. Forson paints the picture, it's not going to change. And they say what's not till now. You be last slide, men can say view. No what fear say aquafare where you announce why. Nepti. Slide here, media to a year. Kofi Koranteng's recommendation for Ghana's survival and sustainability. Ghana's growth and sustainability. Inti ni American say Atu Forson, Dr. President Mahama cannot squeeze any more revenue out of Ghana's economy as it is. Inti me merema won recommendations. Na me pese Ghana fu na bear witness to sa recommendations here mereme. Because if President Mahama is now willing to lead as a president, nothing can change in Ghana in terms of young economics. And I'll prove it to you by Saniame. Number one, there were 23 ministries. We don't need 23 ministries. We need 10. Agriculture, energy, education, employment and entrepreneurial development, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Industry, Interior, Justice, Health. So 10 ministries, all the other ministries, downgraded to agencies and put it under a ministry. What do I say? Supervision of a ministry. Because creating a ministry is a huge liability. You don't need 23 ministries. Into your pesika, monkai na monshare babia sika over 65 billion cedis according to public sector no. This is the consequence of that. 23 ministries, 4 ministers at the state, at 4 ministers of state, 4 ministers of state at the presidency. So 19 cabinet ministers, 58 ministers of state and regional ministers and deputies. At then 58. Then on Kuyana Mr. Mahama, what the minister see ye? 229 political appointees. That is way too much. And too big for 40 million people in Ghana. This is too big a government to have. That is why we are sucking wind. You can run a country with this big a government and not have money to lubricate yourself. It's impossible. Mr. Mahama, if you want to lead, you got to cut this. This fat has got to go. Nipano doso dodo wawo administration no Mr. Mahama. Cut that. If Upese will lead. Niawiye nye leading. I am telling you, President Mahama, with all due respect, you are not leading. So the second part of this is we have to deploy integrated national ID and address system. Now, the reason why we need to deploy an integrated national ID and address system is we have over 80% of young employment in the micro, small, and medium enterprises informal sector. They're in the informal sector. It's not that we haven't exhausted the end tax options, but streams to collect the tax in Niho. Because ye systems are etumi who say oyi nyesko into informal sector. And the government is not doing anything to transition people from the informal to the formal. That should be a prime major. Just say menti President Mahama, menti you. Why isn't this the prime objective of government right now? Say, you're transitioning from informal to formal. Because that's where the money is. Port, Temahabo, Sika, Wuye Sika, Wahosing Bibia, Dr. Forson, Nankasa Bekase, them say last year, 11 billion cedis.